Story 1. Surviving Infidelity. Update. Beloved wife cheated on me, and my daughter isn't mine. Original post. This is gonna be a long one. My wife and I were married for 21 years. I figured it was one of those miracle marriages because we barely argued, seemed to always be the best of friends, etc. Well, our 15-year-old daughter received a 23andMe thing for her birthday from a friend, and of course it said we weren't related. She had me do a swab, as well as her mother and her 14-year-old brother. Only her brother and I seemed to be related. So I did a paternity test afterwards, and lo and behold, she wasn't my freaking child. My ex-wife cried and pleaded for me to hear her out, but I just went numb to her. It would be one thing to cheat, but to find out the light of my life isn't even too related to me killed me. Don't get me wrong, I love my daughter with all of my heart. She's still my daughter no matter what. But what's scaring me most is my seemingly vindictive desires. I've never been like this and I know it's out of anger, but I want her to suffer so bad. The kids absolutely hate her, which on one end helps that desire, but I know that deep down she is still their mother, and I don't really want them to hate her. Her parents and siblings all are mortified at her. Her sister hasn't spoken to her in a couple of months. We all grew up together, so it hit hard for everyone. Again, this makes me feel great, which in turn scares me because I don't actually want her life to go into shambles. But I can't help feel euphoric when I learn something and her life is falling apart. Both children are living with me as they don't view their mother in a favorable light at all right now. I'm thinking about having to talk about them going to talk to her because as of now, they refuse. The part that breaks my heart the most is that my daughter seems to be overcompensating her roles of a daughter. She makes sure to tell me how much she loves me and is, in essence, being the perfect daughter. But I can tell it's because she knows that she isn't biologically mine, but she desperately wants me to know how much she values me. I'm actually going to talk to her tonight about that to tell her that she doesn't have to act differently. I just really want to know how to shake the sadness and angry, vindictive feelings. I want to move forward as well as help my children move forward so they can worry about school and being teens. Please, any advice will help. Now for the top advice before reading the update. This situation is way above Reddit's pay grade. You and the children need therapy as soon as possible. Having said that, let me offer a few pointers from my own experience. Kids don't care about biology. Your daughter will always see you as her father. I love my two stepdaughters as much as my two biological daughters, full stop. But she might be worried about you leaving, as I'm sure she's picking up on the anger you have towards her mother. She might be wishing she could never see her mother again, and then making the jump to assuming you are having similar thoughts. And now could act on them as she isn't your daughter. You absolutely need to reassure her that you are in the dad/daughter relationship with her for the long haul. You need to channel that anger as something productive, or at least not needlessly destructive. Needful destruction could be finally demolishing that old garden wall that's been sitting there for 10 years. Assuming you are in the States, my understanding is that 14 is the age at which most courts will start to take the child's opinion under consideration. You should be consulting with your lawyer, you have one, right, about how you should be handling the children with regards to seeing their mother. In my opinion, you should be assuring the children that if they want to see their mother, that you will understand and not hold it against them, as you shouldn't. Stay strong and channel that anger into something productive. Get therapy, talk to other infidelity survivors, don't drink to excess, start working out if you don't already, do stuff with the kids, a day at a time. That's how the hurt and anger go away. You just have to distract yourself until enough time has passed. Good luck. Having found out my dad isn't my biological dad, I cannot stress this enough. Get therapy for you and the children. It really messes with your head. It sounds as though you are a loving and wonderful father. I don't necessarily think that anger is harmful, as long as it doesn't push you to bad decisions. You should be angry, and that anger will get you through the early part. It will be replaced soon enough. And your children should be angry at her as well. They have grown up with a liar. They may or may not come to not hate her. My mother's infidelity in my teens has remained with me for 40 years now. I have no use for her, and she can die alone when the time comes. Sorry you have joined us in this club, but there are good and helpful people here. You're still carrying the water for your wife. Stop that. Let the kids decide by themselves if/ when they want to talk to their mother. It's their relationship. Please don't force your teenage kids to interact with their mother. As a child whose father forced him to see his mother, I hated them both for it. I understood why, but it didn't change how I felt. Just like you, your kids need time to process this. Exactly, feeling hatred after something like this is expected and normal. If they eventually forgive her, that's fine. But it's also fine if they don't. This is a huge betrayal. Story 2. Why am I so stupid? Why am I so stupid? Honestly, I'm trying not to blame myself for falling for it because I ignored all the very obvious signs of him just being a manipulative a whole. But I'm just in a really bad place right now, and he knew that. I first had suspicions of him being married was one conversation about his life and past relationships. He mentioned living with a roommate that had 2 kids and that she has lived with him so long that he just considers the kids his own. So that situation made it hard for him to find someone to be in a relationship with since women weren't comfortable with his fake family, as she called them. Stupid, right? I should have known from that first comment, but I was overlooking things and ignoring white gut as usual. Since around here, it's extremely common for people to have housemates since it's so expensive. Skipping past a lot of things to make this story faster. One day, I decided that there was just too much stuff I was ignoring, so I finally decided to use my private investigation skills, aka Google, to look him up. Anyone who's done this knows that basically everything about a person can come up just from searching the name. Luckily, his entire life was on the internet. Home address, wedding photos, wedding registries, etc. Eventually, I found his wife's Facebook, where sure enough, there were photos of them playing with the kids, into their wedding. After talking to a friend, let's just call him Bob, about it, Bob said I should ask him if he's married or not. So what I said was, me, have you ever lied to me? Him, weird question, about anything specific? Me, nothing, just asking. You married by any chance? Now this is where all cheaters mess up. Instead of just saying a basic no, he goes on to say, where's that coming from, out of curiosity? Like dude, it's a yes or no question. Then he goes on to make up some BS excuse, saying how he only married her because she needed insurance for the kids, and that he had divorce papers ready for any time he found someone he wanted to start living with him. He hasn't kicked her out yet because he doesn't want to hurt the kids' feelings since they're like his actual kids. And like a freaking dumb idiot, I was like, okay. Like I knew that was the dumbest freaking excuse I've ever heard. But I really needed support, so I just kept talking to him. Fast forward to 2 nights ago, I had some crazy dreams. One of me and him at a beach paddleboarding, and then he got dragged under and eaten by a shark. The second, I don't really remember, but I know it involved me, him, and his wife. But whatever I dreamed about made me want to Google more stuff. So I found more of his wife's social media since her Facebook was private with the exception of a few public profile photos. And sure enough, those kids are the spitting freaking image of this dude, and more wedding photos and records showing they bought the house together. Anyway, after looking all this up, I finally just told him that I didn't want to speak to him anymore, and all he said was, lol, if that's your decision. Like brew. Conclusion. Honestly, I expect to get hate on this post, and I'm okay with that because I really was dumb with this whole situation. Even though I wasn't in a good state of mind, all of this crap was so obvious, but I still went along with it. But I'm not even sad for myself because I'm young and have a while left to deal with more dramatic relationships. But his wife is going to be stuck with that cheating a hole. I mean, she's really pretty, and he's just literally nothing good about him, aside from his fake personality. She could do better, and it really pisses me off that he doesn't acknowledge that the kids are actually his, and the fact that he literally refers to his wife as a roommate. That's completely disgusting. I did message her, not about the cheating but simply asking about this arrangement they had so she would get the idea without me having to say it directly. But I don't know if she'll ever see it since her Facebook was private. I don't know how often she uses it, and we're not friends, so I don't know if my message will pop up on her phone. Also, he has read it, so I hope he sees this, and I hope you go screw yourself with a broomstick. Edit. Since this happened so recently, I'm still thinking about it, and honestly, I should have stopped talking to him. The first time we met up, he tried kissing me, but I didn't want to, and he literally grabbed my face to make me kiss him. He apologized a few hours later via text, but even though he apologized, he kept being forceful with me after this situation. Honestly, I don't know what I was even thinking. I have a loath as hell self-esteem, but even I know I deserve better than that. The time where you weren't sure about his marital status isn't on you. Once you found out, you became complicit, and that's when you have to get out of there. How old are you? What's the age difference here? Glad you got out of that situation, but definitely learn to recognize the red flags. I did message her, not about the cheating, but simply asking about this arrangement they had, so she would get the idea without me having to say it directly. Just man up and tell her he cheated with you. Any evidence of cheating would only help her in court. Yeah, I have evidence, but I don't think she'll ever see the message I left. Regardless, it reminds me of a story with a friend of mine. She had an affair with a married guy with 3 kids. She was single. The relationship lasted for like 8 months, till she learned that he was married. Of course, the first time I checked on him on Facebook, profile pic was him, his wife, and 3 kids. I asked her straight away, "Are you kidding me? You haven't searched for him on social media?" His profile pics him with his whole family. I don't think that you were so naive. After I exposed her, she switched the story to, yeah, maybe he mentioned it at some point, but he was about to divorce. My point is that nowadays with people exposing their lives on social media, it's impossible to act so naive. He doesn't use social media, but she does, which is how I found out about everything. That's a life lesson for you. If you haven't done the deep Google search on your partner before becoming exclusive, you're being pretty naive. One of the ladies I dated a few times prior to meeting my wife had 5 divorces. Pleasant enough person, but needless to say, there wasn't a second date. I wasn't signing up to be number 6. For what it's worth, my wife's stepmom was locked down pretty well due to where she worked. The only thing found was an article written about her job, and the usual court and property records. He doesn't have any social media, so there was nothing to find on him. I found out everything through his wife's accounts, which were hard to find since most of them still used her original last name, and not his. And that's it for this video, guys. If you have thoughts to share, leave a comment below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you like this content. I'll catch you in the next one. Good day, everyone.